It's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Korey and Carlyle.
Glad you're feeling better, man.
You're glad I'm feeling better. I'm glad I'm feeling better. I was actually in bed sick. That's how sick I was. And the worst thing was this is like the first week in months that I haven't gotten like a pile of cool DVDs to sift through, and there was nothing cool that had come out recently that I hadn't seen.
Where's your DVD collection that you have? Don't you have a massive DVD collection you can watch in such cases of emergency?
Well, not massive, but it's like I wanted to watch new stuff, not, the old stuff. And, I was sick and stuck at home and couldn't think. And
what exactly did you have? What?
I don't know. It was like a head cold type thing. It was, whole sinus draining and head stuffed up and can't think.
Okay, so you weren't like leaving shit piles everywhere.
No.
Right.
It wasn't. There's no vomit or diarrhea or anything like flu-like. It was like a really nasty head cold, but I hadn't had a head cold like that in, God, years. It just came on last Saturday and just kicked my ass all weekend.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, man. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
I'll dare say I missed you last weekend.
You did not miss me.
Yeah, I did. I sincerely did. There is a repertoire that is unequaled here. I haven't found a replacement for this kind of thing yet.
A repertoire?
The repertoire, whatever you want to call it.
You mean rapport?
No, repertoire. I like to throw in extra syllables because it makes it sound better.
Well, that's a completely different word too. So makes it sound better and like a different word.
No, so you feeling better this week?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I'm on top of the world this week. So.
Oh, nice. Well, like I said, welcome back, man. Let me make sure I'm turned up a little bit here. All right. So a lot of stuff happened this week. As a matter of fact, things happening right before you get here.
Oh God, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I went and hopped online before I come over. We'll get to that first. Let's start off the way we always start.
The way we always do.
That's right. With the top 5. This week's top 5 is brought to you by Spill Crew.
That's excellent. You ever want to work in radio? I mean,
no, I kind of wanted to be a cartoon character.
Okay, well, this whole cartoon character thing doesn't work out.
If that doesn't work out, I can Sunday. It's the Monster Truck Show down at the mall.
No, be there.
Bring the kids. Free hot dogs and balloons for all the kiddies.
Habla español. So, let's start out with number 5.
Number 5.
Speed Racer.
Man, still hanging in there, man.
For a movie about speed, it is chugging along.
It is chugging something at this point. I mean, it's I don't know, man. I mean, I dig the hell out of that movie, and I'm glad it's hanging in there. Although this goes back to the first weekend it opened. I mean, we're gonna get to number 4, and number 4 is this movie's getting dogged by this thing. What the hell?
That's what I said last week.
Nobody's talking about this fucking film, but every week it's getting dogged by this thing. Going, see, we told you we could make more money than you, Speed Racer.
Yeah, and Speed Racer. Now, is that a rumor? Or did it really cost $150 million to make?
I don't know the Wachowskis personally. I couldn't tell you.
Either way it goes, the movie cost over $100 million to make it. It's only made pretty much $40 million.
Well, domestically, that movie's gonna kill in foreign. It's going to be one of those.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at other things that have bombed here, things we have talked about being bombed, things like Aragon bombed, but it did huge internationally.
That's what I said.
The big thing that everybody talked about earlier this year was the Golden Compass didn't do well here, but it cleaned up internationally. I mean, it cleaned up so much that they made more than enough money to secure a sequel.
I didn't know how Golden Compass did. I remember telling Cyrus that Aragon did well. Internationally.
It did internationally, but still, it didn't do well enough internationally to get itself a sequel.
No, it didn't.
But Golden Compass did.
Is that movie getting a sequel?
Oh yeah. No, they're making them.
So they're going to release it everywhere else but America?
No, they'll still release it here because there'll still be a market for it. But it made its money internationally, which means, no, we can definitely release a sequel and see that kind of money, if not more, internationally again.
Japan, if you want to see a Speed Racer 2, the pressure's on you.
Dude, that's why they made a Garfield 2. You know that? The reason why they made a sequel to Garfield was because it did so well over in England.
Oh, I thought they made that because my sister liked it so much.
Well, that too.
And our kids. So, well, the movie that you're speaking of,
Number 4
yes,
is
the one that beat Speed Racer and continuing to pound Speed Racers. What happens in Vegas?
What happened in Vegas, baby? Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Well, what happened in Vegas is that they beat the shit out of Speed Racer. I mean,
Every week.
the movie's going up to $60 million. I mean, who would have known, man?
Well, what else option is there for women right now?
But that much money, that much more than Speed Racer, I don't think anybody.
I didn't think. No. Nobody saw that.
Yeah, exactly.
No. That's the fact that every week it continues to just pounce on it, just time and again. In fact, what pissed me off. Remember, we had that big long discussion about playing with the numbers on Speed Racer.
Oh yeah.
And then the very next week, I'm reading CNN, and CNN is still claiming that Speed Racer had beaten What Happened in Vegas the week before.
Well, see, that's funny you should say that, because the next day, Warner Brothers themselves, the next day we talked about it, Warner Brothers came out and said, here are the real numbers.
Yeah, and the real numbers were that it took third place that week. It made 18 million, not 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
But this is exactly what I was talking about. CNN, which you'd expect to have that kind of shit together, was still reporting the erroneous numbers from the week before.
Does CNN have some kind of weird stock in Warner Brothers or something? Or what's going on? I mean,
wait, okay, let me.
No, I know, I'm joking here. I know who owns who. I'm just making a weird joke.
Yeah, they're kind of owned by Warner Brothers, but still, that
yeah,
has
no,
nothing to
Time
do
Warner
with
owns it. So, but the funny thing is, why would Warner Brothers come out and say that, and then tell a news source to say,
they
just
did
keep
it. That's
reporting
just it. Is that because people looked back at those original stories with the things rather than researching and doing the actuals? Some guy just wasn't paying attention.
So they just reading shit off of a teleprompter, and it's like, oh, okay. There's a guy in a Speed Racer helmet behind the camera.
Hey, here comes Speed Racer, fucking over CNN. All right, so let's go to number 3. Which, man, how is this movie?
Your boy,
my boy, Iron Man, baby,
Iron Man,
holding in there, motherfucker.
And I want to go back and recant on something I said later on in the show.
Okay, I'll let you recant. I'm always about you. I will. While you're doing that, I'm going to go cook up a big old bowl of crow.
No,
and you can sit here and eat a big old bowl of crow.
We can't say it's a bowl of crow yet, because we have to see what happens. But I will go back and recount on something, and I'm going to bring it up because I'm hoping that you are as enthusiastic about it as I am.
Well, let's see. So number 2.
All right. Well, Iron Man, just in case you
Iron Man
know,
is number 3. Well, I said Iron,
yeah. No, $257 million. It's going to probably get $300 million before it's all over with.
That movie fucking rules, dude.
Yeah.
Favreau has arrived.
Yeah.
So number 2.
Number 2 is in a movie that's considered to be a disappointment. The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
Yeah, you know what? And here's why it's a disappointment. This was the wrong time to release this movie. I dug this movie. I dug this movie a lot.
So did I.
But it was released in the summer. The last one was such a big hit. Why? It was released in Christmas, over Christmas break, when the kids were off already, because the kids aren't out of school yet. And the families were all going out to see movies.
I don't remember. Was the last one released during Christmas?
Oh, yeah. It was released like I want to say December 18th, but that's not correct. It was over the Christmas break, and it never did blockbuster weekend numbers like, oh my God, it's through the roof. It was never Lord of the Rings, but it was the tortoise against the hare, every week. It was slow but steady, and ultimately it crawled over $300 million.
Yeah, I don't know when the movie was released, but I do agree that that is something that should have been released during more.
No, it's a Thanksgiving winter movie. If it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, that's where it should have really gone, because it would have cleaned up. But it was great, and you know what? People are still seeing it, and people are discovering how good it is.
Yeah, they're just saying it didn't open up as big as the last movie, so nobody.
And this is a big surprise. Whoever saw this as number 1? I mean, honestly, this came out of nowhere. The dark horse of this week, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Really?
I don't get it. I don't understand that. Who wants to see a 65-year-old man cracking a whip and jumping over shit? I don't think that's what people want to see.
It's a movie based on a video game called Pitfall. I mean, really, honestly, what the hell? No, of course, it was. Everybody knew it was good, and it fucking cleaned up hard.
Yeah, no, it's 126 million. If you take Thursday's count, 151 million. So
you take Thursday's count over the course of 5 days, it made $151 million.
Yeah, and that's an incredible amount of money to take for a 5-day weekend.
Oh yeah, no, that's. I mean, it is every. Several of the articles are like, well, it's kind of disappointing because it didn't break the records of this movie or this movie. But it's in the top 5, dude.
They're talking about. Excuse me. They're talking about breaking the record of Star Wars 3, Return of the Sith, or whatever it was, Sit the fuck down, or whatever. And of course, it's just as much as
Star Wars Episode 3, Sith the fuck down.
I don't know, man. Yeah, and you're right. It was December 8th that the Chronicles of Narnia was released. Not that I was disputing you. I just wanted to find out and make sure.
That was a Button-Umathon weekend. I remember that.
Okay. Yeah. So, Indiana Jones, man, it's so funny because you would swear that this is a political movie because people are so split on what they think about it. Yeah. And look,
people who love it, like me, love it. And the people who don't really are like, dude, you are crazy for liking this movie.
Well, we got the top 5 out the way. Before we get into the big news of the night, I want to bring up something with you. Now,
bring up something with me.
I'm one of those people who walked out of Indiana Jones, and you came up and asked me. You said, "What'd you think about it?" And I said, "That was all right. It was good." And you got offended. You like, oh man, you're gonna be a numbskull like this. How dare you? Somebody has to represent Indiana Jones, right?
I believe the words I said is, "Oh, you're gonna be one of those numbskulls," because I knew exactly where you were going. I knew what you were gonna complain about.
Look, but see, I'm one of those people who like the movie, and I've come out to be a big pro Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls person because even if I wasn't overwhelmingly crazy about it, I don't understand these sons of bitches who come out and saying, "Oh, this was stupid. This could never happen." I'm like, where the fuck were you when Temple of Doom was out?
Well, my big thing was, really, you think this is implausible because a big golden box from God that melts people's faces off is much more plausible than this.
I brought something up earlier tonight. A man falling out of a airplane on a raft, sliding his way down a snow hill into India. Yeah. That's not crazy to you.
No, that's what was so great about these movies is that they were so unbelievably over the top and so much fun, and they took us back to a time when movies let us do this.
Yeah, people forget that whole scene where he's running with the gong. He picks up a skewer and throws it into a guy's chest.
No, they don't forget it, but what it boils down to is that when I wrote my review, my written review on it, it was really one of those things that it reminded me why I like the fact that I still look at a movie like a kid. Because this is a movie that made me feel 8 years old again, and I loved it. I looked at it, I said, oh my God, this is what it was like to watch Temple of Doom in a theater. This is what it was like to watch The Last Crusade in a theater. Oh my God, this is the reason I rented Raiders of the Lost Ark on Laserdisc so many times. I mean, it was...
This is where I have a different experience, but... Nevertheless, when I have fun memories of Temple of Doom, because I was a kid, saw it 4 times, loved it, saw it when I was a little bit older, and
well, that one doesn't hold up as much.
No, it does not. Still love Raiders, and
you know what? Say what we will about Temple of Doom, that cart, the cart scene is still pretty fucking awesome.
Let me tell you something. I have fun memories of sitting in the theater with a friend of mine. And when they're on the cliff and they're dropping a henchman down into the river full of alligators, every time somebody fell, my friends and I would just scream in the theater, "Ah!" and we felt like we were in the movie, and we had the best time. So regardless of what I think about the movie as an adult, man, they're never going to take that away from me. I felt it. But my point is, I haven't seen it again, and pretty recently. This movie is not as annoying. Crystal Skull is not as annoying as Temple of Doom. Kate Capshaw is terrible in that movie, in Temple of Doom.
You think she was screwing the director or something?
That's what somebody else said tonight, and I know. And that's why I was like, and when you look at that, you know that...
For those of you unaware, she married Steven Spielberg after that movie.
Exactly. And he was fucking her doing that whole time. And you look at that and you're thinking, man, she was so not right for this. And it's even worse knowing that he was just nailing that shit. That's why she got the job.
See, somebody should have told, no time for love, Dr. Jones. I mean, that's really what it all... Dude, see that... But you know what? That's what I loved about this movie. It went back to the well, and it took us back to the girl who we all knew Indy belonged with the whole time.
Oh, man. See, that's what I don't understand. It's not as good as Last Crusade or Raiders, if you ask me. I think it's better than Temple of Doom, but they brought so many elements back that people said they were missing from all the other Indiana Jones movies. And I don't know what they're talking about.
It was just fun. It was just a good time. The thing is what people forget. See, this is one of the things that messed with me in the 90s was the fact that the minute they gave Steven Spielberg an Oscar, he became the system. He was always the outsider making fun blockbuster films and always used to be mocked by the more intelligentsia, the more elite, like Michael Bay is now, like, oh, a Steven Spielberg movie. They'll ever give that fool an Oscar. He just makes kid films. Well, then he won Oscars, and then all of a sudden, whenever he goes to make his kids films, people are like, what are you doing?
Let me tell you something. All you fucking art school snobs out there, you film school bastards, they want to mock Steven Spielberg, and that guy he cannot be touched as far as his visual style in movies go. He can tell a story.
He can.
No words.
He has made mistakes in the past.
Oh, he's made some terrible movies. Everybody has that right. But as much as that guy has given, I just look back to one scene in Crystal Skull where it summed up that movie for me. And while I didn't really go crazy over the movie,
which scene was it?
It was at the beginning where we're introduced to Indiana Jones again. You get that fedora that falls. The hand
shadow
reaches it, and the silhouette putting on the hat. And I'm like thinking, this is why Steven Spielberg is a brilliant director, and he's going to be dismissed for this now. But later on, we're going to look at these movies. We're going to be like, even in some of his worst movies, he's a genius.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love this film. This film was so much fun. I've been waiting for this weekend to get over with so I can go back and see it again because I didn't want to see it with the crowds.
You know, it's funny. Even though I wasn't crazy about the movie, I want to see it again, too, for some reason. I think if nothing else, and somebody's going to hate me for saying this because someone wrote an email saying, you fools don't like this for anything but nostalgia's sake. And, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
No, you know what, dude? Fuck you. Seriously. No, this isn't just nostalgia. This was a fun movie. Now, the thing is, there is a certain truth to that in so much that these movies were built out of nostalgia. Like the reason why Lucas made the Star Wars movies was because they wouldn't let him make Flash Gordon. He tried to get the rights to Flash Gordon. He couldn't get them, so he went and made the Star Wars movies instead. This was Steven Spielberg sitting down with George Lucas saying, hey, remember those awesome serials we used to watch when we were kids? What if we made one of those?
Yeah, no.
And that's what this is. And
those serials include Flash Gordon and the adventure serials back in the day.
Oh, Rocket Men from Mars.
Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Captain Marvel. All the various, old archaeologist, hero movies. There's tons of them.
But no, when you say nostalgia, it did bring me back. I want to be going on an adventure with Indiana Jones again.
Right, but that's not necessarily the only reason you liked it. I think that's kind of a bunk argument.
No, that's not the only reason why I liked it, but that was a large part because they said, well, this was The Mummy. And I'm like, you know what? This particular movie, and you're going to disagree with me on this, but this movie, probably more like a Mummy movie in a way because of all the CG they can do now, but that didn't really bother me. But everybody talks about Indiana Jones. Was he the same Indiana Jones he was back in the day? And I'm like, for me, he was kind of better. I like the fact that he's older.
Well, yeah, and what they did is it was funny. See, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Dirty Dozen. I love The Dirty Dozen. Man. Now, have you seen the next Dirty Dozen?
No.
The next Dirty Dozen was a movie made almost 20 years later. It was made in the early 80s, and it had many of the same cast members.
And it was made in the
80s. So here it is, it was 19 years later, and they had the same cast, but the movie was set 6 months later. So here you have,
if they ever needed CG,
you have these guys, rather than saying, hey, you know what, let's make it the Korean War. And let's make it to where, the colonel has, he's gotten himself in trouble and, this old general remembers this guy and says, hey, I've got an idea. Let's set it in the Korean War where it's over 10 years later. Then we can get away with them being older.
Exactly.
Let's set it in the beginning of Vietnam, where it was in that era. Let's set that and have a Dirty Dozen movies. No, they set it 6 months later. And so you're watching these old guys trying to pretend that they're 20 years younger. Here, the whole conceit of the movie is that he's old and tired, and in the interim, he's become a war hero. Indiana Jones is no longer just some archaeologist teacher. He fought in World War II. He was a spy. He was a badass. He's been decorated with more medals than Lord only knows.
Oh, yeah.
You know how many. And then what do we get? You know, we get this guy who's old and tired and forced into one last adventure.
And forced into it, and that's what's always great. Unforgiven was great for that. I mean, it wasn't a particular character Clint Eastwood played, but it was the encompassment of all the characters.
Yeah,
he had
it was essentially what happened when the man with no name tried to settle down, and nobody would let him.
And he gets called back into one more murderous mission.
Yeah,
and I love that kind of mythology with characters.
See,
let them grow old,
and that's exactly what I love about this movie. And Shia was awesome.
I don't know if he was awesome, but
he was awesome.
I liked him.
Dude, he kept up with Indiana Jones. He did not overshadow Indiana Jones, but man, you weren't looking at every scene with them. You weren't looking at him going, "What the hell is this kid doing in a scene with Harrison Ford?"
See, that's where you and I disagree.
There.
Like later on in the movie, every character except for maybe Indiana Jones, they were, and him, even him to a certain degree, were interchangeable props for whatever set piece was going on next.
And that's what happened in every Indiana Jones movie.
Except I think we had a little more character in Last Crusade and in the first one than we did in this movie during the first. Oh, sorry. So, but anyway, yeah, I think one thing we can both agree on is that people are just full of shit. I think when they're coming down too hard in this movie, saying things like, "Oh, Indiana Jones wasn't that memorable of a character. All these movies were kind of throwaway." I'm like, why all of a sudden? Why are we having all these criticism about these movies that people loved for decades?
Well, because it's the standard critical disconnect. I mean, it really is. These people are trying to rationalize why they didn't like the movie, and so they think that belittling the history of Indiana Jones will actually allow them to, call the movies out for what they're seeing them as.
Yeah, I mean, I respect, me, I would say that's an opinion, but don't look. I told you I wasn't even crazy about the movie. I liked the movie, but don't sit up here and tell me that Indiana Jones is not a memorable character when we have an icon and a fedora and a whip.
Greatest characters ever.
Yeah, and that theme song, synonymous with any adventure.
You hear that, you hear the Raiders march, and it gets you in the gut.
Oh yeah, no, you want to swing across something. That's right. Almost bust my ass trying to swing across the street.
I love the swinging.
So let's go ahead.
So you said you wanted to recant on something?
It'll be a fun discussion. Let's go ahead and get in touch on the big news right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Sidney Pollack, man.
Yeah. Oh, I hate these.
Right before you got here, cut on the internet and see that Sidney Pollack is dead at age, 73
of cancer. And the thing is, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, and a lot of you out there may not be familiar with Sidney Pollack, he's been a long-time director. And the thing is it's... When you look at his directorial history, he's only got a few really great classic films, like films that really define the genre.
Out of Africa and Tootsie and
The Way We Were.
And was it 3 Days of the Condor?
3 Days of the Condor. Yeah. Now, the thing is most of these movies are great in concepts for what they are because they were groundbreaking at the time. Mm-hmm. He also directed The Firm.
Yeah, with Tom Cruise, yeah.
And his last really good one...
what was his last good one?
His last really good one. Because, I mean, the last one that we saw, that he directed was The Interpreter.
And the last one that he directed that none of us really saw, I forgot, was...
he did a documentary.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was a documentary about a guy about an architect.
The Interpreter was very lackluster.
It was,
a very mild
but
movie.
the thing that was so great about him was he was an icon. In the industry, and he produced a lot of stuff. Now, what was the last great thing he produced? Well,
the George Clooney movie.
He produced and acted in Michael Clayton.
That's
if you haven't seen it. Fantastic film, deserved every Oscar it was nominated for. Yeah. Then you've also got he produced Leatherheads, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
And if you go through his history, he produced so many films, and you're like, oh my god, this guy. Film owes so much to him.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It breaks my heart because I saw that article. I've met him.
Oh yeah,
I got a chance to meet him once
in a bathroom stall next to him. Or something?
No, he came down for Austin Film Festival one year, and I met him in the lobby of the Driscoll. It was literally one of those things where everybody was standing around having drinks, and here comes Sidney Pollack, and the whole room is just like, shit, that's Sidney Pollack. Holy shit. And you know, we walked by and I just had to shake his hand and chat with him for a second because he's such an icon.
Your hand started glowing when you shook his hand.
Well, dude, okay, look, there are a few people you meet that are just larger than life. You know, you've met plenty of celebrities like I have. You know, you run this circuit enough. You get the introductions, you do the interviews. Yeah, and there are people you meet that are, you know, they're everyday guys. Like when I met and hung out with Shia last year, he was just a dude. You know, we just hung out all night and talked dork shit. And he was just a guy. And I would tell you, he's just like any other guy you know. Then there are people like Sidney Pollack who you meet and they seem to have a glow about them. And when they walk into a room, everybody fucking notices. Another person who I met like that was Michael Landon. Michael Landon was the same way. He would walk into
Little Home on the Prairie,
from Little House on the Prairie. Yeah, and Highway to Heaven. He would enter a room and just every eye would fall on him, and he
actually had angel wings.
You didn't know what to say. It was just like you were just flabbergasted. It was like, oh my god, this guy.
Sidney Pollack just seemed like a cool dude because he had such a body of work. But what were the last two appearances he made? Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Maid of Honor.
Did he show up in Forgetting Sarah Marshall? What was he?
I think, he was the doctor. He was in the doctor's office. He was the one that said, like the guy was sitting in there saying, "Oh, you know what do I do? I can't get over this girl." Like, no, he said, "I think I have a sexual disease or something." He's like, "Look, I'm a pediatrician."
Yeah, no. I could have sworn wasn't that Harold Ramis?
You know what? That was Harold Ramis. I'm sorry.
I was like, was Sidney Pollack? No, that was Harold Ramis.
But he was in Maid of Honor.
Maid of Honor.
Now,
was
keep in
his
mind,
final
I didn't see Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So.
Yeah, no. But I think it's Harold Ramis.
No, you're right. But, you know what? I don't know. I'll tell you what. Let me look it up.
But anyhow,
I thought that was him.
Point is, he showed up in Maid of Honor. Although, you know what I find amusing? Here was the thing that I noticed today. Wait, you're looking it up.
No, I'm listening to you.
Well, you look it up. The last thing he produced that was, went out to the public showed this week, and that was Recount. And he produced Recount, which was on HBO, and the critics just raved about it. And I've been reading about it all weekend, and it's almost as if that was his last big final project, and it went really well. It showed, all went well, and he said, "Okay, I can leave now."
It's kind of like, my work here is done.
My work here is done.
I can die now. And he just collapses on the floor. So no, he's a Rosebud. Recount. So yeah, that HBO movie. I've just been getting a lot of news. About the Florida ballot votes, and
it's supposedly really fucking good.
I heard that it's not that great, but the actors are good, especially what's her name? I was in Jurassic Park. Citizen Ruth and stuff.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. I heard she's really good in that. I heard that itself is just when they really focus on real shit that happened. That's when it's most interesting. But anyway, Sidney Pollack, legend.
And seriously, guys, if you're listening to this and you're making a movie list for this week and you're not familiar with Sidney Pollack, hit the IMDb page, check out the Netflix queue, and throw up stuff. Definitely have to check out Tootsie if you like. Romantic films. The Way We Were is a classic. Robert Redford and God, what is her name? Barbara Streisand. It's like one of those classic going through the years movies that inspired an entire genre of them.
Are you talking about Tootsie?
No, I'm talking about The Way We Were.
Oh, The Way We Were.
Yeah. Tootsie, of course, is just a fantastic comedy that still holds up with Dustin Hoffman. That movie's just fucking funny.
You know what? I don't know what a lot of his appearances because I don't watch a lot of television. I haven't seen some of the movies that he's been in, but he was in 5 episodes of Will and Grace.
He played the dad.
Yeah,
he played. I think was it.
I don't know. I never watched Will and
Grace's dad. He played the dad to one of the two main characters.
He just looked like a cool dude. He
was around. Everybody loved him. He was literally, he had that presence, and everybody loved being around him. He was the voice. In fact, it's so great. It's one of those great appearances of his in The Majestic. There's a scene where in The Majestic, you've seen The Majestic, right?
Yeah.
In The Majestic, there's
Jim Carrey. Right?
Jim Carrey.
Okay.
is a Hollywood screenwriter, and he's sitting in an office making a pitch, and off screen there's a guy talking about the film and how he wants to change the film. You know, it would be great if we could have a dog, and it's Sidney Pollack,
and that's Sidney Pollack.
You recognize his voice because his voice is unmistakable. Where most people, like, sadly, where most people in our audience will know him is that really great commercial he did for No Talking at the Movies
at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, where he's like, "I'm sorry, is my directing getting in the way of your cell phone call?"
Yeah, no, a lot of you kids out there, you probably won't know him as much because he did a lot of more serious films that were out of your interest, guaranteed. Except for
and out of Corey's interest, as proven by tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen a lot of his classic films, and I've seen a lot of his films I really didn't like. Sabrina, I thought it was a terrible movie.
Oh my, I have that on DVD, dude. I love that remake.
Can't stand it.
Oh God. Well, you don't like romantic comedies all that much.
That I've seen the original Sabrina.
I love the original Sabrina, but I do like the remake a lot. With the one with Harrison Ford and
what's his name from Talk Soup?
Yeah,
Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear, yeah. and of course, yeah. God, I actually really like that version.
I think that movie sucked.
I just watched it like 6 months ago.
I mean, but that's just me. Yeah, and I just told you the Interpreter I thought wasn't that great of a movie.
Well, yeah, we all felt the Interpreter was kind of meh.
Yeah, but a lot of stuff he produced I love. So anyway, well, hey, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, brother. Raise your glass to Mr. Pollack.
There's another one. So now there's two other famous people who are scared as shit because they go in threes. So like tomorrow, it's gonna be like somebody's like, "Fuck, am I going next? I'm hiding under my bed tonight." So okay, this thing that I want to recant on.
Okay, what are you taking back?
All right, as you know, I've been talking mad major shit about the Hulk.
Yes, I do know.
Talking about the Hulk, talking about, man, I don't know. Just I'm kind of iffy about it. Hulk ain't really doing anything for me. Hulk ain't shit. And one of the users put up a clip, and I've seen some trailers. First of all, these new trailers, I was like, man, now that looks cool.
Now let me guess. The clip that changed your mind was the one with Tim Roth, where he took the super soldier serum.
No. Where he's fighting? No, I saw that months ago, and I was or at least last month, and I was like, that's okay. It's a cool scene. I was kind of turned around. I was like, yeah, I think this movie would be good. But have you seen the clip of the Abomination and the Hulk fighting in the middle of Harlem? And it's about
I've avoided that stuff because I want to see that big first. I don't want to see that online.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm glad I saw it
because it appears to have given you a geek on.
Dude, I looked at that and I was like, fuck that last Hulk. That's what this shit is about. Hulk is pissed, tearing up a police car and using the two halves of it like a pair of boxing gloves. Now, that sounds stupid when I'm telling you about it.
No, it doesn't. No, that sounds like a fucking comic book movie.
Yeah, and I mean, the Hulk is mad.
Well, and the scene that they used was stolen right out of a really awesome comic where, you know, the bit where they kick Bruce Banner out of the helicopter.
Oh, the Ultimates.
Yeah,
I got that book, man.
Yeah, no, in the Ultimates where, you know, in the comic book, what's happening